It's Sarah, and welcome to my crochet channel. Today I want to introduce you to Tommy. This is a super fun and silly placemat or doily or just decoration to have around your house through the Thanksgiving holiday. He measures about 12 by 12 inches, so he's a nice size. And although I've placed his eyes and beak right in the center, you can place him to the side, this side, to the bottom, anywhere that you want, and come up with a really silly look. And of course, I'll show you all that a little bit later in the video. You can find this crochet pattern for Tommy the turkey down in the notes underneath this video. Gobble, gobble, gobble. To make a Tommy turkey for you or your decorating needs, you're going to need some yarn. You're going to need a light beige. This one is just called light beige. This is called toasted almond. And I'm using I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby. And you'll need this beige for the body of the turkey, and then some variegated in a fall color. This one is called Autumn Stripe. And when you go and purchase some of these, get a couple. I've got another pattern that I'm going to use where you'll need a couple of those. Just a hint of something to come. Now, if you don't have a variegated, you can always use different colors for the feather portion of your turkey. You don't have to use the variegated. I just really like using it because it makes it a lot easier where you don't have to change colors. But of course, if you've got some other colors in your stash, go for it. These are both medium weight number 4 yarns. You're going to need about 2 ounces of the beige and about 1 ounce of the variegated. And then you're also going to need just a little bit of gold for the beak and white and black for the 2 eyes. Now, I didn't add that little gobble, that little red portion. If you want to add a few stitches or something, you can add that on there. I just thought it looked cute without that. Now, we're going to stitch with our eye hook today, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need your scissors, and then you'll need your needle for sewing on your parts and weaving in those ends. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. So we'll take the tail of yarn, put it over our hook, and pull it through that loop. We'll snug that down and then tie a little stay knot so that circle doesn't come undone. We're going to put our tail of our yarn over here and then our working yarn over here. We'll go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 11 more double crochets so we have a total of 12. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2 loops. All right, I'm going to stitch till I have a total of 12, counting that chain 3. Whoops, there we go. All right, let's see how many I have. Here's my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have 12 double crochets, counting that chain 3. We're going to join to the, to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 4. Now, before we do row 2, we're going to turn this over And when we were stitching our double crochets, we stitched over our tail of yarn. So we can pull that closed, and we'll go ahead and just weave this in, and it'll be all taken care of. Now, if you don't want to do it right now and you want to keep going, that's fine. You can always weave your ends in at the end. I just like to go ahead and take care of this one. Nice and snug. All right, now, so for row 1, we have 12 double crochets. We joined with the slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 and chained 4. Now for row 2, we chained 4, and that chain 4 counts as a double crochet chain 1. We're going to double crochet in the next stitch and chain 1. We'll double crochet in the next stitch and chain 1, and we'll do this all the way around for row 2. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. And we'll repeat this all the way around and join back to the third chain of that chain 4. I repeated that all the way around, double crochet, chain 1, and you're going to have 12 double crochets with chain 1s in between. We're going to join to the third chain with a slip stitch, and this time we're going to chain 3. Our chain 3 here counts as a double crochet. We're going to place 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space. 1 and 2. Now we'll place 1 double crochet in the double crochet. And this is our repeat for row 3. 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and 1 double crochet in the double crochet. And we'll repeat this working all the way around. 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and a double crochet in the double crochet. And this is going to give us a solid row of double crochets. So we'll repeat this working all the way around for row 3. 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and 1 double crochet in the double crochet. I completed this row stitching 2 double crochets in each of the chain 1 spaces and a double crochet in the double crochet. You're going to have 36 double crochets. We're going to join to the chain 3 with our slip stitch and chain 3. And on row 4, the chain 3 counts as a double crochet. We're going to stitch another double crochet in that same stitch, chain 1, we'll skip the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2. And so our repeat for row 4 is chain 1, skip 1, and 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. Chain 1, skip 1, and 2 double crochets in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And again, we'll repeat this all the way around for row 4, and then again join back to our chain 3. I've completed this row, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1 all the way around. We'll join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and then chain 3. Now for row 5, Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet between those 2 double crochets, and then we'll stitch a double crochet in the next double crochet. And so what we did is we took 2 and made it into 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1 and go to the next set of 2 double crochets. We'll double crochet in the next double crochet. We'll double crochet between the next double crochet, and then double crochet in the next. So again, we've made 2 double crochets into 3, and it also makes this set of 2 double crochets look like a V-stitch. Chain 1, double crochet in the next, double crochet between, and then double crochet in the next, and chain 1, and repeat. Double crochet in the next, double crochet between, and double crochet in the next, and chain 1. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around. Don't forget those chain 1s in between. Three double crochets, chain 1 all the way around, join back to our chain 3. I've completed this row. We have 3 double crochets because we double crocheted, stitched 1 double crochet between those 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next, chain 1, and repeat all the way around. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Now for row 6, we're going to take those 3 double crochets and make it into 4. Our chain 3 counts as our first. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next, and chain 1. So now we had 2, then we had 3, now we have 4 double crochets. Chain 1. 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next, chain 1. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around again. One double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next, 1 double crochet in the next, and that gives us 4 double crochets, chain 1, and repeat, working all the way around, and join back to our chain 3. I've completed this row. We have 4 double crochets, chain 1, repeat all the way around. Here's my last chain 1. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Now for row 7, we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each of those double crochets. Our chain 1 counted as our first, so we're stitching 1 in the next 3, and we're going to chain 2. Then we'll come to the next set of 4 double crochets and stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 4 double crochets. And chain 2. And so we're going to have 4 double crochets with a chain 2 in between. There's 3 and 4, and chain 2. And so the only difference there really is we're stitching 1 double crochet in those 4 double crochet stitches and chaining 2 in between. And that's just going to help our doily or placemat, whichever you're using it for, or decoration, to lay nice and flat. We don't want it rippled up. We want it to lay nice and flat so that it looks pretty, or maybe looks silly. I think Tommy the turkey looks a little bit silly, and that's why I love it. All right, so we're stitching 1 double crochet in each of those 4, chain 2, and repeat all the way around, and then we'll join back. I've completed this row of 4 double crochets, chain 2, and repeat all the way around. Here's my last chain 2. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and this time I'm going to chain 1 just to get me up on top, and then single crochet in the first stitch. And what we're going to do for row 8 is stitch a solid row of single crochet before we add our little scalloped feather stitches. So we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 4 double crochets, and then we'll stitch 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. There we go. And this is just going to make it lay nice and flat. It's going to give it a nice solid edge to add those scallops to. All right, so 1 single crochet in each of the 4 double crochets. There we go. And then 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. And we'll do this all the way around. And see how that makes that lay a lot nicer? And we'll do this all the way around and join back to our first single crochet. I have completed that row of single crochet working all the way around. We're going to join back to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, and now we're going to cut our yarn. It's time to make those feathered scalloped, and we're going to make those scallop stitches actually shell stitches. So we're going to bring in our variegated, and of course you can use whatever colors that you would like. We're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Make sure everything's snug down. We're going to skip 1 stitch, and we're going to stitch a double crochet, another double crochet. We're going to chain 1 and stitch 2 more double crochets in that same stitch. We're going to skip the next and single crochet in the next. All right. Now we're going to repeat this 12 more times, so we have 13 scallops or shell stitches. Skip the next, and we'll stitch our shell stitch, which is 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Skip 1, single crochet in the next, skip 1 and shell stitch in the next. 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. Skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next. So we're going to make sure that we repeat our shell stitches with our single crochets till we have 13 shell stitches. I've repeated my shell stitches for my scalloped edge until I have 13 shell stitches. We skip the next single crochet and then single crocheted in the next. We're going to chain one and we're going to turn our work. We're going to stitch 5 double crochets in the first chain one space of our first shell stitch. There's 3, 4, and 5. We're going to chain one. We're going to single crochet in the single crochet. And now we're going to chain one and stitch 5 double crochets in the next chain one space. And so what we're doing now is just making the feathers of our shell stitches just a little bit taller. Five double crochets in the chain one space of the next shell stitch. We're going to chain one, single crochet in the single crochet, chain one, and repeat. 5 double crochets in the chain one space of the next shell stitch, chain one, single crochet in the single crochet, and chain one, and repeat. Five double crochets in the chain one space, chain one, single crochet in the single crochet, chain one, and then we'll repeat this on all of our shell stitches around the top of Tommy's back. I've completed my shell stitches, stitching 5 double crochets in each of the chain one spaces, chain one, single crochet, chain one, and repeat. Here's my last shell stitch. I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to join to that single crochet where we started with a single crochet. I'm going to move those out of the way. We'll have to come back in and weave those in later. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a single crochet in each of the single crochets, working around the bottom of our Tommy turkey. 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets till we reach the other side over here. And just to be clear, we are working on the back side of our work. We didn't turn. When we finished our shell stitch here, we just continued working around the bottom of our turkey. I have stitched a single crochet in each of those single crochets around. I'm back over here where we stitched our shell stitches for our feathers, and we're going to join right down in that first stitch with a slip stitch and go ahead and cut our yarn. Now we're working on the back side here, so we can go ahead, snug that down, and weave that in with our needle. And make sure you also come over here and weave these two in as well. And if you're using a color that's different, make sure that you don't stitch through so that that other color pops through. This area here is kind of a greenish color, and I don't want to have a stitch that's sort of a greenish color in my beige portion. So just keep that in mind when you're weaving in your ends. Alrighty, now I got to do these two, but I want to flip this over so you can see this is the front. And something that I like to do, these lay down nicely. If you're going to use this as a placemat, they just lay beautiful. And something I like to do with these is if you're going to use this as just a placemat or maybe a doily, it kind of has an abstract look of a turkey. You're getting these sort of feather looks and with your scalloped edge. And if you put, say, a bowl of candy or a bread basket on here, it's going to look really pretty. Or your dinner plate if you don't want to add the face on it. It looks elegant to me. But I'm going to show you how to add those eyes and that beak if you want it to look playful, because I think that this doily can be elegant and playful. We're going to make the beak, and I'm using this gold. It's a medium weight number 4, just like the others. You can use orange, yellow, whatever color you want for your beak. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 2 chains, 1 and 2. We're going to place 2 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. 1 and 2. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to place 2 single crochets in those 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that gives us 4. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to work down the side, and we're going to stitch 1 in that same stitch. Whoops, get in there. We'll stitch 1 in the row next to it there, and then 1 down here. So that's 3 single crochets, and this brings us to the point of our beak, and we're going to stitch 2, 1, 2, and then we'll stitch 3 on the side. 1, 2, and 3. And you may have to shape it a little bit. We're going to join, and we're going to tie off. And we're going to leave ourselves a little bit of yarn so that we can sew it on to Tommy's face. Now I want to go ahead and go in the next loop and pull that loop to the back, because we want it to look nice and neat. We're going to take a minute and weave this tail of yarn in. There we go. And this is our beak. And we're going to pull it down so it has a nice point and kind of pull it out, and that gives us our shape. I want to sew my beak right in the center of my doily. And so here's my string. I'm going to go under here and just stitch around that edge. And I like to kind of do a basting stitch around first to make sure that I get the shape, and then come back around. So I want to look at it, make sure everything's centered nicely, because we don't want our beak like crooked. We want it to be lined up with our feather portion. All right. Make sure I got a nice pointy beak. And now that I'm happy with where my beak's going to be, I can go back around and make sure it's going to stay put. Because I have a feeling this is going to get played with a little bit this month. And I'll just continue stitching around until I'm happy with how secure the beak is. And I really want to make sure my beak has a nice point. So I'm going to go down there and sort of pull it down. There we go. Make sure it has a nice pointed beak. I stitched in there a little bit. Let's pull that stitch out. There we go. All right, so now my turkey, Tom Turkey, has a beak and he needs 2 eyes. I've already made one of the eyes and I placed it on there, and I'll show you how to do the other one. Super simple. We're going to grab our white yarn. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to half double crochet 8 times in the second chain from the hook. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 loops. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to join to that first half double crochet with a slip stitch, and we need to make sure we leave ourselves about 10 or 12 inches of yarn so that we can sew this onto our turkey. Now we want to weave in this one here and also close up that hole in the center of our eye. So we'll thread that tail of yarn on our needle and just stitch around this circle to close up that hole. There we go. Make sure it's in there securely. All right, now we're going to take our black yarn. I've already got a piece cut here, about 8 or 10 inches. And we're going to make that pupil. Now this one, I set it over to the side, and I think I'm going to do that again. And so let's see, I'll put it over here so we come up. There we go. And you want to make sure that you go through some stitches and not just a hole. All right, we're going to leave a little bit of a tail. We're going to wrap that 1, 2, 3 times around our needle, but not too snugly, because we're going to push our needle through to form that little French knot. And then back here, we're just going to tie a couple of knots so it stays put. We're going to be sewing it on, and so we don't need to worry about weaving it in. We just want it to stay put on the back of our eye. All right, now we'll just take that long tail of yarn. That's kind of funny. All right, we want to make sure everything's lined up nicely. Let's see. Oh, we want to make his eye go that way. All right. Now, if you want to pin it in place, you can. I don't. I just hold it with my hand. And we're just going to go around the edge. And we're going to do like we did with the beak and just go around the edge real quickly at first. Make sure it's where we want it. I call that a quick basting stitch. Back up in there. There we go. And then once we're happy with where that eye's placed, we'll just go back around, and I go forward, then I come back to the next stitch. I want to make sure I'm getting through all those stitches, so we want those eyes to stay in place. Kind of like what I said with the beak, we know it's probably going to get played with because it's cute. All right, so I like that. I think it's kind of silly. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to make sure that it's going to stay put in a couple places there. If you see any spot Then you want to stitch a few more stitches in and then just weave that in. And so here's our Tommy the turkey. He's looking over to the side. And here's the one we did with a little bit darker yarn. Same variegated. I just used a little bit darker yarn for the turkey. And I think it would be a lot of fun to make a Thanksgiving Day or just a Thankful Day game and have the kids play Pin the Eyes or the Beak on the turkey. Wouldn't that be super fun? I may have to make another one of these and do that. Either way, you can make it with or without the eyes and beak for a more elegant turkey placemat or doily, or you can make it with it. Both ways I love, and it's a super fun way to celebrate Thanksgiving.